how do you decide where you go? Yeah, how do you decide on the countries you go to, and what kind of research do you do beforehand before you start bringing trips there?
Oh, I do extensive research, one,
Yep.
to understand the history and how it ties into the African diaspora. Because most of us, when we hear London, we're thinking Buckingham Palace, we're
Right.
thinking Big Ben, we're thinking Kensington Palace, we're thinking queens and monarchies and all of that. And then we think Paris, we think Eiffel Tower.
Right.
Without even knowing the history of the Eiffel Tower. So
Right.
that's a whole nother story.
Right.
So what I do, I look for the African diaspora, those who have been dispersed throughout the world who descend from the continent of Africa. Where are we the most popular? So I look at Brazil. Brazil has the largest population of Africans or people of African descent outside of the continent of Africa. So, but how many of us know that? Many of us think, okay, Black Americans,
Right.
but it's like, no, we're not. So it's like, wait a minute. So I went to Salvador in the state of Bahia in Brazil, and I saw all of these beautiful Black people. I was like, well, what's going on here? Right. So I started looking for places like that. And then as I did an extensive study on colonization,
right,
I started realizing, if I listen to the language that the people speak, I know who the colonizer was.
Yes.
So I said, so they speak Dutch in Suriname and Aruba and places like that. Right. But I didn't understand the Dutch, the Afrikaans, and how they're influenced down in South Africa. Right. So my mind started really looking at that and saying, I go to a place like Togo or Cote d'Ivoire.
Right.
They're speaking French. Mm-hmm. Why are these Black people speaking French? Well, because the French were there.
Yep.
Why when you go to French Guyana, the people are speaking French? That's in South America.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in Haiti.
Yep.
They're speaking French. Now, a lot of them have held onto their indigenous languages,
sure,
but it just makes you stop and wonder. So I look for that because I know that if we can start connecting the dots, we'll understand what really happened.
Right.
Because when we think about education, everyone says you got to get educated, but we're using a European system as the standard.
Yep.
So that's a form of white supremacy when you think about it.
100%.
So, I'm like, well, you're like, well, yes, you're educated if you have this degree here. Well, this is what really started hitting me. Who founded many of our HBCUs? And who are they named after?
Never even thought about that.
Yeah, I know, it starts getting deep. You're like, well, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me Howard's not named after a brother? Nah, Howard's not named after a brother. And we wear the names and I'm not throwing shade on anybody. I'm just saying these are things that when you start waking up and you're like,
you just need to know it.
You just need to know. Spelman was Rockefeller, all these different connections. And I'm wearing this. So what they did was masterful. They imposed their language. They imposed their names. And I'm talking about the colonizers and the imperialists.
Right.
And so without me understanding it, I'm now proudly walking around with someone's name, and I don't even understand what other names I might have connected to me.
Right.
And so when I started doing that, I said, wow. So when you start shedding this light, people start digging.
Yep.
And we're smart people. We're not dummies. That's one thing I know about the African diaspora. We're not dummies anywhere. Right. It's just that when someone has manipulated the education system, manipulated the culture, manipulated so many of the religious systems and all of that, we begin to think like how they think.
Right.
And don't even challenge it until someone puts something in front of us and say, consider this.
All right, guys, thanks for watching that clip from the Authentic African YouTube channel. If you want to see the full video, click up here. If you want to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe by clicking this link right here. And if you want to see anything more from the channel, then you want to click down here. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you all in the next video.